Multiculturalism versus Assimilation. This is your introduction to Essay 2, and this is for RHET 1010, Imagining Exile. So this assignment, basically what you're going to do is you're going to imagine yourself writing an editorial article for a newspaper to the citizens of a specific host country. An editorial article is where an opinion is put forth. And by opinion, it doesn't mean you're just going to throw out thoughts that you think are right. You're going to support it, of course, with a scholarly argument, with evidence, with sources, and all of those important things when you make an academic argument. But you're going to present it as if you're giving it to the citizens of a specific host country. That country might be Egypt. So, for example, you might be writing to the citizens of Egypt, explaining to them your point of view on whether multiculturalism or assimilation is the best policy for the country. Now, you could also write it, for example, to another country. So you could write it, for example, to Germans in Germany or to Canadians in Canada. The important point is that you specify which country that you're going to be writing to, and you frame your argument as you go through the essay in terms that the people of that country will understand and will make a difference to them. Now, you can find all the details about this assignment on the class website by going to Assignments and then clicking on the Paper 2 Argument menu item, and it will give you all the details I'm going to share with you here. You'll remember that in class we discussed the melting pot, where the different minority groups blend into mainstream society and eventually lose their own unique and different identity and become a part of that society, versus the idea of cultural pluralism, where the larger society accepts the different ethnocultural groups and they blend into it and maintain their identity within that. Remember, we talked about intercultural strategies and the different issues that are faced by groups, the maintenance of heritage, culture, and identity, and the relationships sought among the groups, and the different types of strategies that ethnocultural groups take: integration, assimilation, separation, or marginalization, and the strategies of larger society: multiculturalism, melting pot, segregation, exclusion. These are the different terms that we used as we were discussing these things, and this is the foundational article that you're going to want to use in your essay. It would be good to review some of the different things we went through in core class. For example, things like how societies tend to shift themselves and separate themselves. Or maybe looking at the arrival and some of the different things that are faced by migrants, as well as what they go through in order to fit into the society. What degree of divergence and what degree of separation is helpful and what degree isn't. Now, the key points that we're going to be looking at in this article, and one of the sources that you must include, is the John Barry article on multiculturalism versus assimilation. Of course, you can find this in the class readings, and this is the article that we've looked at before and annotated together. And in it, you're going to look at the different models of multiculturalism and look at the pros and cons of them. You'll want to think through for yourself, what are the different pros and cons of multiculturalism? What are the different pros and cons of assimilation? Which one is more helpful for the society that you're going to look at? Now let's look at some of the specific details. Remember, in the requirements for this newspaper, you'll write an editorial article for a newspaper to the citizens of a specific host country. In the article, you'll need to make an argument in favor of either multiculturalism or assimilation as a policy for the country. Now, you might like multiculturalism or you might like assimilation, but thinking about it as a policy for the country means that you need to think through carefully all of the different aspects from the point of view of that country. The dates for this assignment Well, today is March 23rd, and I'm introducing it to you in class. March 27th, which is Saturday night, you will hand in draft 1 on turnitin.com. On March 29th, next week, we will have a peer review assigned, and you'll have until March 30th to get it back to the person and submit the form. On April 4th, that's a Saturday, draft 2 will be due. Following that, there will be student instructor conferences, April 5 to 7, and we will probably be doing those on Zoom. And finally, April 11th, you'll hand in the final draft, a beautiful, wonderful, shiny, brand new essay that I'll be looking at and enjoying. Okay, now let's talk through some of the specific requirements. At the start of your paper, you want to put a title, and the title for this essay will be Editorial Article Printed in, and put the name of the newspaper that you choose to determine your audience. So for example, if you're writing in Egypt, then you need to put the name of an actual Egyptian newspaper. If you're writing for the United States, put the name of an actual American newspaper. You choose the newspaper, and in some ways, that will help you also choose the voice that you want to write in. Different newspapers have different editorial approaches and will have different points of view that are typical for their audience. And so you'll want to think through which newspaper you actually choose and how your message will fit that newspaper. You're going to submit this on turnitin.com as a Word doc. I've discovered over the last couple of classes with the first essay that Google Docs only give me a PDF, and that's very difficult for me to grade and give comments to you on. So if you write your article in Google Docs, as I do, simply download it as a Word doc and then upload that Word doc from your computer into turnitin.com, and that will allow me to give you a good amount of feedback. You're going to use APA paper formatting. No title page or abstract is required. You do need a title, but not a title page. And you will include a references page for this essay, a separate references page. The minimum word count for the essay is 1,200 words. And you must include a minimum of 4 sources. One of them must be the Integration and Multiculturalism article by John Barry. 2 others must be from our RHET or core course readings. And 1 will be gathered by you from your own research. If you want to include more than 4, you're more than welcome to. But you must have, you definitely have to have the John Barry article. You must have the 2 core or RHET course readings, and then you can gather as many others as you want. This essay will also have a counter-argument paragraph, and I'll be explaining that in future classes. It will have in-text citations, which we'll also talk about, and it will have the reference page as I mentioned before, as well as it will need to have a current detailed outline, and you need to upgrade that for draft 1 and 2. Draft 3, you don't include an outline. All right? The detailed outline will be similar to what we did in Essay 1. Those are the basics of our Essay 2. Please, when you have questions, you can email them to me or email them to the class, and people should be able to help you. All right? So good luck with that, and I look forward to reading your essays.